Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to the Coach Jones Show. I'm Adam Bell, along with Sammy Hendricks and Indians football head coach DeMario Jones. Coach, big week this past week, Friday night, man. Y'all took care of business big time in a downpour. I know Sammy's about to take it over and everything, but I'd love to hear your initial comment just on all the adversity with that weather and everything Friday night.
Yeah, I was extremely proud of our kids. I think, going back from the previous week when we won in such a convincing fashion, having to battle through for 4 quarters. And I think the moment that I'll take away the most is at the end of the game, Macintosh has kind of been placed down there on deep in our end of the field, and the band of pride is playing, got the war chant going, and the cheerleaders are going, and the crowd's getting into it, and our sideline is into it, and our guys just played with a different level of energy. And so very proud about how we ended the game. But again, it gave me something else to be proud of our guys about. And, it showed the mark, at least to me, of a team that's trying to mature. And so very proud.
All right, Sammy, take it away, man.
All right, Coach, we'll stick real quick with the game, total game situation. What about that crowd we had travel with us over to Macintosh? I think we may have had more fans in our side of the field than what Macintosh had.
Yes, Sammy, I would say that was true. You come out before, pregame, and we're warming up, and I look over at our side, and it's slowly starting to fill up, and the band buses pull up, and I was wondering about where everybody was going to fit in at over there. And I look at their side, there wasn't very many people over there, so I was, really, really happy our community showed up for our guys. But again, that was something, when I was hired, I was told probably a million times, wherever we go, our community is going to come, our band of pride is going to be there, our cheerleaders are going to be there. And so it really all goes hand in hand. And I'm just as proud of those kids that are, those young ladies that are cheerleaders, and the young men and young ladies that are part of our band of pride. They do such a wonderful job, and they deserve to be honored too, regardless of, the scoreboard. We always want to win, but definitely thankful for those young people giving up, their time and effort throughout the week to prepare for a game on Friday, and then injecting themselves into the game the way that they did. Throughout the game, but there especially at the end, it was a really special moment.
Coach, 19-0 victory over Macintosh Friday night. Not a real pretty win, but a win it was, and it puts the Indians now at 2-0. Up in the press box Friday night, there was 2 different streaming shows going on. Of course, CSN and plus the NFHS network was going on, and it was kind of ironic. We was talking about some of the keys of the game, and I was listening to their guys commentate down at the other end of the press box. And the 2 keys of the game that we brought up, me and Adam, and then the guys from NFHS, was, number 1, who's going to win the line of scrimmage tonight, and number 2, which of the running backs is going to show out and have the best night on Friday night. We'll go straight to the defense side of the ball for the Indians. And, we gave up, I think we wound up giving up 110 yards total rushing to the big Macintosh kid for Indians, but I think our defensive line, I think we won the line of scrimmage Friday night on the most part.
Yeah, I mean, it takes you, we prepare for so much. I don't know, we put so much into scouting reports, and it's really at the high school level, not something like at the college level where it streams across the ESPN, right, that this guy may be in or out. But, they had a pretty good player of theirs not play. It really changed up what they decided to do offensively. They're a lot more multiple when that young man's able to play. But, they kind of lined up in a set that they felt good about. They may have gotten out of it once or twice throughout the night. I know especially the big 4th down stop that we had towards the end of the game. But, the D-line played good, but, when you're playing offenses like the single wing or, variations of it, the flex bone, it's almost like playing assignment football, and it's an old option term where everybody's, somebody's got the dive, the quarterback, and the pitch. Well, in this case, the guy's catching a direct snap and then basically trying to find the first available lane. So it takes everybody being disciplined. So if I'm proud about anything, I'm proud that our D linemen, for the most part, were where they were supposed to be. Our backers fit gaps, and the guys in the secondary came and added themselves into the mix. So extremely proud of just how we aligned. For the most part, we had some busts, but for the most part, we aligned. And we were very fortunate. At one time, the Macintosh kid, who I think's as good as advertised, as good as we've got in single A D2. He broke through, and we were able to just get a hand on him, and the ball comes out. So extremely good when you got guys running to the ball. Fortunately, we had more hats near the ball, we were able to recover that one, or it probably does go for a touchdown. But again, like you said, the D-line played well, but I got to give credit to everybody on defense because it's such a thankless job to be where you're supposed to be. They almost caught us a couple of times. We were fortunate. I think maybe the weather conditions got them, but extremely proud of everybody on defense.
Right. You know, staying with the defensive side real quick, I looked at my stat sheet that I keep doing the game, and what I have was we had 13 plays while they were on offense and us on defense where they either gained back to the line of scrimmage or lost plays, lost yardage on the play. 13 negative yards for them on offense, and that just shows me. And I was watching the kids. Man, our kids are just flying everywhere on the field. You know, and we had some guys up in the secondary come up and make almost as many tackles as the D line did. So defense played really well Friday night.
Yeah, again, when you start talking about, you know, with you know, these such run-oriented offenses, you know, as a coach, eventually they're going to throw it down the field. They see you sneaking up. And so, you know, I was proud. You know, it's not always in this day and age, it's not always, you know, cool for a DB to come up and make a tackle for loss. And so, you know, guys like Brandon Woolard and Jordan Tolliver and Quincy Wilson, you know, Khalil Smith, the guys that we have playing in the defensive backfield coming up and making plays for us. I'm extremely proud when they get in on the mix. And it's something that, you know, it's not just something that happens on Friday, right? When we go through this stuff throughout the week, we're challenging them and laying the expectation for, you know, how we have to fit certain things. Now, not always can they run up and stick their face in on things. And sometimes, you know, when you get the juices flowing and the game gets like it was in the second half, they'll run up and, you know, be in on the play that they probably shouldn't have. So, you know, again, when you start talking about that many plays, either at the line of scrimmage or behind the line of scrimmage, you know, Sammy, if you can bottle that up and I can sprinkle a little bit of that every game, I'll take it.
Well, you know, it was almost obvious, at least through the first quarter of the game and into the second quarter, that Macintosh was going to be one-dimensional. You know, it was wildcat formation. The Macintosh kid wound up carrying the ball 31 times for 110 yards, what I had him down for. He picked up almost 140 yards last week. But that kid's a great athlete, and we've done a really good job slowing him down. Like you said, he broke a couple tackles during the game, but we was able to one time, like he slipped down, he tripped over one of our players, and maybe would have scored, but we're doing a good job of slowing him down.
Yeah, I'll tell you one of the things, Sammy, that I think was a pivotal moment in the game as far as how they decided to call the game. If you remember, I think it was maybe early in the third quarter, you know, they actually threw the ball deep. And we had a young man that was over the top of the route and ended up running the route with the receiver and played the route for him. But the young man that they were throwing it to, if ironically, is the state champion in the high jump and the state champion in the long jump. You know, number 4, I believe his last name is Quarterman. So he had my attention at least. I kept seeing, you know, his face on the huddle and knew I recognized the face from somewhere. And then it dawned on me, you know, he was one of the ones at the state track meet that was up on the podium, and not just anywhere, but right there at the top. So he's a big old tall lanky kid and could jump. And the reason I say that's a pivotal moment because, Sammy, if we give up a deep ball there, that adds 1 or 2 more plays that their coach is probably willing to call throughout the game. And obviously you go down 19-0. I think at some point late in the game you just want to score so that you don't, you know, not have anything on your side of the scoreboard. And so, you know, I think that was big. If we give up that deep ball there, I think maybe they start throwing, you know, 1 or 2 more passes just to see if they can go up. But they never went back to it, and you know, at least our eyes were on it. I can say that.
Right. You know, looking at the defense, you know, I was just thinking of the game, you know, it's kind of like we have one of those bend but don't break defensive games. A lot of players in and out on the defense side of the ball that you guys are been able to exchange out of there. Is that something that you practice every day, or is that something you kind of go as the game goes?
Well, I'll tell you, it's the way of life in single A. You know, when you play folks that are so ground and pound heavy and that are going to milk the clock and, you know, that want to go on 10 and 12 and, you know, 14, 15 play drives, you know, it's not – you got to look at games not as a sprint. It's a marathon. And so as a marathon, start to finish. And so what do you do in between to try to keep yourself as fresh as possible? And so does it always mean you got the same caliber or level of player that runs in there? Probably not, because if he was, he probably would be starting right. I think the way that we approach it is it's hard to say you got a starter and a backup. Obviously, we've got kids that play a little bit more than others, but part of the reason of transitioning, as we call it, or rotating, as most people call it, is to get those kids quality game reps, because eventually, that guy that's starting, quote unquote, is going to get tired. And so, who you are on snap number 1 is not who you're going to be on snap number 60 if that's you're playing that many snaps. Rarely do you have a kid who can play at a high level that many snaps a game. I don't care how much you condition and run. Everybody's due a break every so often. So I think the name of the game on defense, is trying to keep yourself fresh. Now, what do you do when teams hurry up? One of the things I think we attempt to try to do a really good job of is mimicking situations in practice. And so our kids will tell you, our coaches will tell you, I'm a fanatic about transitioning. So when we practice more so against people who play fast, meaning we practice for that scenario so that when and if we see it, no, we may not duplicate the exact level of speed that a team's going to play with on Friday, but we at least catch our kids' attention that, hey, when this play is over, I got to get back set because they're ready to run a play. Mm-hmm. And so you better, I know this much, at this level of football, you better have a plan in transition of how you keep that guy who's probably a starter or major contributor on another side of the ball. How do you keep him fresh?
Right. Coach, we'll swap over to real quick on special teams real quick. Last week against Brantley, the kicking game, as far as extra point goes, almost perfect throughout the game. Opening score Friday night against Macintosh. Did you guys see something early in the week on game film or something? Y'all just decided to go for 2 on that first touchdown. Did you see anything on that? Just something you wanted to try and see if we can get an 8-point lead instead of a 7-point lead?
No. So I think the best way to describe it is coming into this game. You knew anything about Macintosh? They were, billed as one of the top defenses in Division II, and that still holds true in my opinion. They've got 2 inside tackles that are, get off the ball as fast as they come, as well as 2 defensive ends who are as long as trees are. And so I think, the thinking was not getting it into our kids' heads, but from a coaching perspective, for me, I wanted to see how we were able to control the line of scrimmage. And things are always better after the fact, after you look at them. So I think we misfit a couple of things where we may have popped a run and Omari or whoever was back there, would have gotten some big, chunk plays, as we call them. And so for me, that was more of an attitude adjuster. I know we ended up, I believe, jumping offside. We were getting ready to try to run it. It was more of an attitude and mentality thing for our offensive football team. We made so much through the week about, hey, this is an excellent opportunity to show how well we can play as an offense against a defense that everyone has built, out in the community, out in the high school football world is one of the top in our classification. So more of a confidence thing for me, for our kids. I want our kids to feel excellent. So for somebody to say, just go kick and get the extra point. Well, if we ever need a 2-point situation scenario, you better be confident in what you call, and you only have a handful of those plays. So it's more of a confidence thing for us.
Right. One more real quick on the special teams. Coming out to start the second half, and I'm not sure if this was a planned onside kick or just went off Aiden's foot. What kind of explanation did you get from the official on why we didn't get the ball on that onside kick?
Well, the official was correct. The ball is the new rule. The ball has to hit the ground, actually. Okay. As far as the explanation I got, to be honest with you, they were, they were conferencing. I hate to say they were arguing, but they were having a spirited conversation within themselves. The official that was on our side, signaled that it was our ball. He said, no, it's their ball. And then if you notice, they kind of got together right there again, and then they broke apart, and then they walked to the middle and got together. And then finally, I'm assuming because I wasn't standing right there in the huddle, that somebody told them, you're wrong, we're going to give the ball to them. I thought it was a call later in the game, on the roughing the snapper that now I was fortunately after the fact told that, they missed it and, the official apologized to me. But it was, one of those nights where you're just fortunate that the end result was in your favor. So.
All right. So we'll swap over to the offensive side real quick, talk about a few things. I had 194 yards of total offense for the offense, 102 yards on the ground and 92 through the air. Not a lot of yards, but we held the ball enough to keep Macintosh off the field to give them more chances to take the ball and score.
Yeah, so, at halftime, I think what I was most upset about was the missed opportunities. You go look at what it takes to stall a drive, and sometimes guys just make a phenomenal play, and you gotta go do your job as a coach then and adjust to what somebody's doing to try to take away. We really didn't feel, that it was maybe necessarily anything that they were so much doing. It was, a guy jumping offside, and we're starting behind the chains, or not being in the spot that you're supposed to be in when we call something. And so just displeased with that. We want to come out and be as efficient as possible every week on offense, and that's not just coach speak. But I think from the efficiency standpoint, the biggest stat was, obviously when you have a game that's so defensive-led, right, then the best thing you can do as an offense is keep the ball away from them. And so, I was proud. There was about eight or 9 minutes on the clock when they took the ball for their last possession. And then when we took the ball over, there was about maybe right at 5 minutes left, and we run it out. That's something huge that if you're not watching the game, that's a pivotal moment. Game's probably over with in terms of whether or not they're going to come out and score 3 times in 5 minutes, in the fourth quarter. But it's just the mentality. Our kids were able to keep the chains moving enough to where there at the end we didn't have to snap it again and even get into victory. So, when you talk about did we leave a lot out there on the field, yes, we did in a major way. Where our kids heard about it, yeah, this is one of the things that, you get proud of as a coach. They didn't come in Monday and have a great time watching film, and they didn't have a great time watching themselves. They came in with the attitude of, not necessarily how we can get better, but, hey, I missed that, Coach. We went over that the other day. And it's more apologetic and, hey, let's go correct it. What do we have this week? So it makes you happy as a coach. You think you're going to come in on Monday and be one way, and then, kids shocking. Our kids have been shocking me a lot that I think we're going to have to necessarily do to maybe grab or catch their attention. We hadn't had to do, and so I hope it's the fact that we just have a mature group that's willing to work and take ownership for what they do. But I'm, proud of how we came in trying to correct the things that we tried to do on Friday, but didn't get the chance to do. So.
Right. Amari Wilson had 82 yards on 20 carries, what I had him down for the game, and then 2 beautiful touchdown passes by our quarterbacks. Trent Hamilton was on the receiving end on both of them. Another testimony, I think, of what a good job that the offensive line done. We only threw the ball about 5 times, and I only can remember really one time. I think A.J. had a rollout one time out of the pocket. But offensive line did a good job on passing protection as well, allowed Amari to get those 82 yards in the game.
Well, I'll say 2 things. Obviously Amari is a special talent. Amari is going to only continue to grow and get better as he, molds himself into being the best version of who he can be. But I want to shout out, two sets of groups. One, what can I say about our offensive line? They come, they show up, they're willing to work. We did a discount card sale, and all of the top sellers are old linemen. Go figure, Sam.
Yeah.
But I'm extremely proud of them because, to start in the spring, everybody was probably wondering who would plug in where, and our kids have just worked so hard, so they deserve the flowers. They deserve the not necessarily accolades, but they deserve the gratitude, at least from me being the head coach and the community, for the job that they come out and do each and every day. Even when they make a mistake, they're so willing to try to please and fix it. And that's such a lost art today in today's coaching. We do so much coaching with effort. The more you have to coach effort, you're probably not going to be very good because it leaves little room for scheme, right? And then I've got to shout out both of our quarterbacks. I love both. I can't say enough great about Aiden Cruz and A.J. Glover. They are 2 phenomenal young men. I can't ever remember since I've been here them being in trouble for, anything. They both have that yes sir mentality. They both look you in the eyes. They both have had things that the Indian fans who knew more about Indian football than me before I came in probably said he needs to work on this and he needs to work on that. But, you got to remember, and this is where I started at first with both of them, they're just kids.
Right.
And they don't aspire to wake up and not do their very best. And so where I always start with them is love, right? I'm always dapping them up, hugging them, telling them, how good they are. And then when they make a mistake, have a real honest conversation with them that doesn't leave them feeling like trash, right? It's very easy playing the position that they play to be defeated and to feel like the weight of the world is on you. And you know what? It's the world's fault for making a kid feel that way.
Right.
And I, as a coach, and our coaches, we're not going to make our kids feel that way. So I hope everyone in this community, everyone who follows Charlton County football, don't bet against them kids, man. They're absolutely, positively two phenomenal, awesome young men with two good families that support our program. And they work. I mean, they were in here watching film for our offensive coordinator. They ride on the bus with them every little moment that they can sneak together to make sure everything's right. There are two leaders, and I couldn't be prouder of both of them. I thought both of them have started the season wonderfully. And we're going to continue to invest in them in the small ways that nobody probably figures as long as the season goes on to make sure that they at least feel they have the resources that they need to be successful, and that, most important, they're loved by the folks from within.
Right. Well, Coach, I'm just going to get you to add on that a little bit, if you will. Obviously, you guys like what you see out of both of them, rotating them in and out of the game. Are you guys in a situation where you're trying to look for one to actually take over the team, or you got what's going on with rotating right now?
It's crazy to, describe it like this, but, you go to church to give gratitude, and you pray about things, and you take things to the altar, and you say don't pray and then don't worry. And so for me, I don't want to put or shine any light on that situation as far as both of our quarterbacks. I don't look at it from the perspective of one of them's got to beat the other one out. I look at it as when one of them's light needs to shine a little bit brighter. Not only have we set the stage for that person to do what they're supposed to do, but we've also created a space where the other one that's light is a little dimmer is willing to stand there and root that guy on and cheer for him and be a great teammate. We hadn't made too much out of the fact that we've got two quarterbacks. It's actually, for me, more of a bonus because if coaches are preparing on the weekend, obviously it makes them aware of. And I will tell you, to individually say something about both of them. Aiden ran track for us this year, and he's a little bit more fleet of foot this year. His giddy up and go is a little bit better. And then AJ was a state qualifier running the hurdles this year. Wholeheartedly look forward to him going back this year and hopefully being on the awards stand. And so both of them did some stuff this offseason outside of just throwing the ball. They both we got them both in for the Jaguars high school quarterback combine. There was about 200 kids there. And so both of them did a lot this offseason personally on their own, and together to be where we are now. So I couldn't, like I say, be any prouder of both of them. I'm happy we've got two.
Right. Talking about the offense and the momentum they got going, be able to run the ball like they do. Something I noticed Friday night, I noticed it last week against Brantley. Man, our wide receivers doing a great job blocking as well. I seen 3 blocks Friday night. 2 of them were by Cobb, and one of them I think was by Tolliver. Just pancaked someone of the cornerbacks out there on a couple of running plays. Them guys are doing a good job as well.
Yeah, they are. But I'm going to tell you, you break the game of football down, it's still about blocking and tackling, and blocking is an attitude. And so those plays where they're doing their job, we're happy. But those plays where you see them, like you say, and they're trying to take somebody out of bounds or they're pancaking somebody, that isn't a coach. That's hats off to that kid for understanding where his leverage is and then finishing the block. And so all kudos to them. I'm glad you've noticed that. And we want to challenge everybody to do it more consistently.
If you had to pick one, I would say maybe sour thing in the game, it was the 9 penalties for 80 yards that we had. A couple of them were, I think, hustle plays. We had a one unsportsmanlike call on the Macintosh side, and I know you probably didn't see it where you was at, but it was one of those situations where 2 people were involved, and the last one that got caught got a penalty. But 80 yards of penalty, I know you guys will attend to that during practice this week.
Yeah, we did. We did Monday. You know, Monday is always our correction day. So anybody that had a penalty sees me after practice, and it's, you know, it's very little talking going on. It's more corrective, you know, accountability. And so, yeah, we got to clean that stuff up. But I'll tell you that the plays that are good hustle plays, it's a little easier to for those for those to be something that you can swallow. The jumping offside, the procedural penalties where we got two in the backfield, or you know, guys down the field. I mean, O-linemen have no business being down the field, just like a wideout should be able to tell somebody that they're on, just like a D-lineman should know that his helmet's over the ball. So, you know, that kind of stuff is just lacks of focus, and it's stuff that we've got to be corrective on Mondays and just grab their attention. But hats off to them. They come and do their accountability to the team, and we move forward from there.
All right, we're going to take a quick break, Coach. We'll come right back with the second half of the Coach Jones Show right after this.
In your time of need, give Rob Robertson a call at 912-496-7388. Shepherd Robertson Funeral Home says go Indians.
Allen Aldridge Insurance, located in Kingsland, Georgia, is proud to serve the communities of Charlton and Camden counties, offering life, home, car, and business insurance. See Andy Gowan today for your insurance needs. Phone 912-729-7600 for more information. Protecting you is what we do. Gowan Aldridge Insurance is a proud sponsor of the Charlton Sports Network.
ESP Specialist in Fabrication is located at 169 Little Phoebe Church Road in Folkestone, Georgia. President Mark Pickering and his employees utilize the latest technology with a skilled workforce to supply customers with the best custom fabrication possible. Serving clients at home and abroad makes ESP a premier employer in Charlton County. For all your specialty and fabrication needs, contact ESP at 912-496-2583 today. They're also on Facebook at ESP Specialist Fabrication. ESP is a proud sponsor of Charlton Sportsnet.
For nearly 20 years, Georgia's electric membership club.
All right, welcome back to the Coach Jones Show. Before we get back to Sammy and Coach Jones, I just wanted to mention real quick that our thoughts and prayers from Charlton Sportsnet and all of Indian Nation are with the Carlisle family, as Miss Carlisle received some burns this past weekend, so our thoughts and prayers are with them. Sammy?
All right, Coach. Before we dive into Jeff Davis real quick, you got anything else you want to bring up about Friday night's game against Macintosh?
No, I think, you know, a lot of people talk about, you know, ugly wins. A win's a win, and so they always feel better. You know, you can be in your emotions or your feelings, you know, Saturday when you watch the game, but I'm so happy that we started 2-0 just for, you know, we still are dealing in sometimes with ghosts of the past, and so a lot of our kids were a part, all of them were a part just about of last year, and so you know, it's such a great feeling when you can walk off and it not just validates the week, but it's just a sweeter feeling starting off the weekend with a win. And so I'm extremely proud of everybody, our band, our fans, our cheerleaders, and most importantly, our kids and our coaches. So I couldn't be any more happy.
Right. So I was looking at it today, and I'm just going to bring this up, you know, just that's me thinking ahead. 2 weeks down, we got 13 more to go, actually 15 including the playoffs. It's great to get a 2-0 start. So let's dive into Jeff Davis real quick. Each week, as you know, the players know, we all know, each week is going to get harder and harder and harder. Teams are going to get better and better to play. Jeff Davis, I know you guys have probably had a chance to watch some of the game film on them. What do you expect to see out of Jeff Davis?
Well, firstly, you know, they are a carbon copy of who their coach is. Coach Lance Helton and I are college teammates. We both played together at Valdosta State. You know, he's a graduate of Washington County High School and played for legendary coach Rick Tomberlin, who's a former head coach at Valdosta. So Lance is an O-lineman. His teams are tough. I got a chance to speak to him this weekend and actually Monday morning. And this is his 8th year there, and that's saying something about what they've built there and the expectation that they have there to be successful. And so, you know, they are they are as well prepared and as disciplined of a team that we may see all year. They play extremely hard. They play extremely fast on defense. And then on offense, they do quite a bit. They're based out of the wing T, but they've got quite a bit of sets that they get in. And so, knowing Lance, from our college days, and then, he's been with Roger Holmes at Dublin. And so Coach Helton is a really, really good football coach, and he has got a really, really well-coached team. And so we've got our hands full, but you said it best. Each and every week, it is something different. I don't think that there's going to be any shortage of being prepared come region time because of the schedule that we will have played. And so, what do I expect out of them? I expect them to be exactly what we've seen on film. They're going to play extremely hard. They're going to get after it, be physical. It's going to be a game where we've got to come out and play. Somebody's going to hang this on somebody, or this is going to be any type of cakewalk of a game. Is completely foolish to think. We are going to play a good football team. What does that say for us? We feel like we're much improved, and Coach commented on that when he spoke with me Monday. And so, with that being said, it is up to us to go over and do our very, very best and put our very best forward. And then at the end of the night, if we've played and done and did everything that we thought we needed to do and did it to the best of our ability, there's no reason to think any less of what the result is. And so we put a lot into preparation around here. And so, again, like I say, Friday's going to be another one, but, it's exactly what our region schedule is going to be. And so I'm happy we're seeing it this early.
Well, you go into the Brantley game, expecting to run and throw the ball, move into Macintosh. You're not really sure what to get with their starting quarterback out, so you get the great Macintosh kid back there in the Wildcat. I would probably say they probably wasn't really a game plan against us defensively with their running the game, because they probably just put him in the Wildcat a lot of times and let him to pick his holes. But playing Jeff Davis, I went back and watched a little bit of the film last week against a team, I think they were from Brunswick or Savannah over there. 289 yards rushing what they had and 70 yards passing. How do you prepare for a team that ran for almost 300 yards this past week?
Line up correctly, and be physical at the point of attack. Coach Simmons, our defensive coordinator, who's my head coach at one point in high school, has played everything known to man, from the wishbone to the flex bone to the broken bone to the shotgun. I mean, we joke with him about all the things that he's seen. And Coach Simmons is commented, he was on both of Irwin's state championship teams, when they had the Binyard brothers that are at Kennesaw State doing it up. They're a well-coached team. We're going to have to line up it correctly. We're going to have to play our assignments, and they present a different thing. They don't just run, the trap and the sweep and the down. They run the midline, they run the veer, and when you say all of that, then when they raise up to throw the ball, there are usually 2 or 3 people running, running naked down the field. So, there are a lot to handle. I'll say it from that perspective. You got to have your eyes open. You got to be in tune to every play. Biggest thing that you got to do is, like I said, is whatever your scheming is, you got to line up correctly, and then you got to tackle. And so, it's a tall task ahead of us, but we don't look at it in terms of, they did this the previous week. We know that they're good. We don't need to, be all into they rush for this many. We know that if we don't fit, they'll be out of the gate. And so it catches your attention. You know what a good football team looks like. I'm sure, when you were watching, you could tell, and I've said this to our kids, the same 2 teams that played this time last year, you fast forward a year, and you probably can't believe that you're looking at them and looking at us and saying, these ain't near the teams that we saw last year. They're I say much improved. They are much more mature than they were last year. We've taken some steps. Let's go Friday and see what happens.
Right. So, real before I close it out here, I saw a couple of players Friday night getting nicked up. Most of them kind of went off the field. How are we on the injury side? Everybody good to go for this coming up week?
Listen, all is well. You got to look at things in relative terms of, this is a game where you're going to be hurting. You're going to be, you're probably going to feel like you can't hardly move. I know as us as coaches, we wake up and we forget that we're, older. We're not playing anymore, and you wake up on Saturday and feel like you've played. I know for me on Saturdays, I wake up and just I'm more exhausted than what I was throughout the week. And so we've put a lot into, treatment and getting guys up here on the weekend to make sure that we're getting them as healthy as they can be. Here's what's exciting about that. When you look at all of our kids who may get injured throughout the game, they love each other so much that it goes two ways. One, they're willing to just come back and play because they don't want to let their brothers, they don't want to let their team down. Mm-hmm. But also, their brothers are looking at them saying, hey, you got to get well, you got to get healthy. And here's the thing. We've still started the season without, a couple of, guys that we feel like are going to be starters or really, really good players. I know one on offense that, when he's fortunate to come back without giving away too much, I think we're going to look completely different. We've already been pretty efficient running the ball and doing some things, but, there's a couple of guys that when we get back, Sammy, I think you'll be saying, Coach, I noticed so-and-so was out there. Well, good gracious, what's going on? So it's been something we've been building towards, Sammy. And so, anytime that a guy's not able to play or whatever, it's really the next man up. You can't really cry over, spilled milk, as a term to phrase. But we'll be fine. We'll be ready come Friday.
Coach, that's really about all I got. I'm just going to do one last shout out here. Congratulations on the maiden softball team tonight. They went over to Brooks County and came out with a 12-9 win. So congratulations to them.
Good job, ladies.
Coach, you got anything else you want to add to it?
As always, I thank both you and Adam for the job that y'all do. Adam mentioned it about the Carlisle family. I would be remiss if I didn't say, and we've got so many families that I could comment on, but I know this family's hurting and struggling, and it makes you, think about your own family. And I think about, my wife and my daughter, who I talk about often, my mom, my dad, and my brother, whose birthday is actually today, so happy birthday, CJ. My dad's birthday, who was a couple of days ago. Think about how precious those moments are. Mr. Carlisle's met my dad. He's met my brother. He's met my family. Mm-hmm. That is a wonderful family. Mm-hmm. Jacob's a freshman offensive lineman who is as big as the young men that we have walking through here. Jacob's going to be a really, really good football player, but his family has injected themselves into our program so big to start, not just with the feeding, but Mr. Carlisle's done some painting in here, and he puts scriptures up here in the locker room. I've seen Miss Carlisle being here before, and I just, she was so happy after the game. She gave me a high five and was out there helping hand out drinks and sandwiches. And so it's such an emotional time, but, we've wrapped our arms around Jacob, and really we've got that whole family in our prayers. And so, please pray for that family. They're wonderful people. And so thank you all. I know we're putting the show on the road this week, and so looking forward to all of Indian Nation coming out supporting our young people, not just our football, but our cheer and our band, and looking forward to, another playoff-type atmosphere on Friday, and looking forward to our guys putting their best foot forward.
Okay, Friday night, 7:30, on the road against Jeff Davis.
All right, were you able to mention you got the maidens in? Mm-hmm. Band of Pride?
Coach got them.
Just did that? Yeah. All right, man, we're hitting all the buttons tonight. Right. All right, man. I want to thank y'all again, Coach. As always, we'll see you Friday night, kickoff 7:30. I want to give Jeff Davis a quick shout-out. It rarely happens, but Jeff Davis went ahead and sent us our press box assignment, rosters, and everything, welcoming us to the ball game Friday night. That makes it so much nicer. So I want to give Jeff Davis a shout-out for that, and we'll see you Friday, Coach. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thank y'all for watching the Coach Jones Show right here live on the Charlton